Melissa Jefferson Wooden was a 12-second sprinter from a town of 900 people nobody wanted. Today, she's the fastest woman in the world, undefeated since the Olympics, and chasing a world record that stood for 37 years. But on August 23rd in Poland, Olympic champion Julian Alfred. 2 women, 1 record, 1 chance to prove who's truly the fastest alive. Melissa Janae Jefferson was born February 21st, 2001 in Georgetown, South Carolina, but grew up in Dunbar, a tiny coastal town where everybody knows everybody. Her parents were both preachers, and the family lived modestly in a community where big dreams often stayed dreams. Melissa played saxophone in the high school band, tried cross-country for 1 race, and attempted basketball for conditioning. She was the kid who joined every club and found every excuse to stay after school, partly because there wasn't much to do in a town of 900 people, but mostly because she was always looking for the next challenge. When her father developed a blood disorder that could have led to leukemia, Melissa, without hesitation, spent 2 days donating bone marrow stem cells to save his life. "My dad is here and healthy, and that's of the utmost importance," she would later say. It was a defining moment that showed the kind of person she was becoming. At Carvers Bay High School in Hemingway, South Carolina, Melissa was good but not great. Her best time in the 100 meters was 12 flat, respectable for a small-town sprinter, but not elite. She won a few state titles but wasn't ranked among the top athletes in South Carolina, let alone nationally. For most high school athletes, getting passed over by the major programs would have been devastating. But Melissa had learned something from growing up in Dunbar and watching her parents serve their community. "It doesn't matter where you start," she would say years later. "It's about where you're going." She chose Coastal Carolina, and that decision changed everything. Running indoors for the first time, Melissa false started on a 60-meter dash and finished dead last. But instead of crushing her confidence, the experience taught her something valuable about resilience and staying composed under pressure. Coach Carl Goodman saw potential others had missed. While Melissa was still running 12-second hundreds as a freshman, Goodman worked on her technique, strength, and mindset. Slowly, she started dropping time. By her sophomore year, Melissa had qualified for the NCAA championships, a breakthrough moment, though she was still just another decent college sprinter. Then came 2022, and everything changed. That season, she transformed. The athlete who had struggled to break 12 seconds suddenly ran 10.75 to win the NCAA indoor 60 meters. Outdoors, she kept dropping time, earning a spot on the United States team for the World Championships in Eugene. At Hayward Field, she finished 8th in the 100 meters final, a career highlight for most athletes, but for Melissa, just the beginning. She had finally found the right environment to unlock potential that had always been there. At Coastal Carolina, she was training with athletes who shared her work ethic and belief that talent could be developed through relentless preparation. But more importantly, she had learned to love every aspect of the sport. She would later explain, "You can't. You'll never reach your fullest potential if you don't love what you do, even the days that suck and that are frustrating and the days that don't make any sense." After her breakthrough 2022 season, Melissa faced a career-defining decision: stay at Coastal Carolina or turn professional. When Nike offered her a contract, she knew she had to take it. For her first year as a professional, she stayed with Coach Carl Goodman at Coastal Carolina, but it quickly became clear she needed to be in an environment with other world-class athletes. The group included T.T. Terry, Sha'Carri Richardson, and other world-class sprinters. For Melissa, it meant leaving the comfort of college, but it also meant access to the training that could make her a legitimate contender for global medals. Training alongside Sha'Carri Richardson pushed her to levels she had never imagined. Every workout became a test. Every sprint became a race. The 2024 Olympic year should have been her breakout season. She was training at an elite level. Her times were dropping consistently, and she was starting to be mentioned among the favorites for the United States Olympic team. Then, disaster struck. A stress fracture in her foot sidelined her for 2.5 months during the most critical part of the season. For an athlete whose Olympic dreams hung in the balance, the timing couldn't have been worse. "I was feeling all the feels," she would later admit. "Even on the days where it was a win, it wasn't really feeling like that because I wasn't out there doing what everyone else was doing." The psychological toll of watching her training partners prepare for the biggest meet of their lives while she sat on the sidelines was almost as difficult as the physical rehabilitation. Melissa had learned that setbacks weren't endings. They were opportunities to prove what you were really made of. She approached her recovery with methodical determination and an unshakable belief that hard work would eventually pay off. At Hayward Field in Eugene, Melissa ran 10.71 to finish second behind Sha'Carri Richardson and earn her first Olympic team selection, a remarkable achievement for someone who had missed most of the season. The Paris Olympics represented everything she had worked towards since age 5. The Stade de France, with its purple track and 80,000 screaming fans, was about as far from the red dirt roads of Dunbar as an athlete could get. In the 100 meters final, Melissa lined up against the fastest women in the world, Julian Alfred of St. Lucia and training partner Sha'Carri Richardson. When the dust settled, Alfred won gold, Richardson took silver, and Melissa claimed bronze with a time of 10.87. For most athletes, an Olympic bronze would be the pinnacle. For Melissa, it felt like validation of what she'd overcome, but also the beginning of something bigger. She would later describe her Olympic year as deserving a B+, not because the bronze wasn't meaningful, but because she knew she had more to give. "I don't want to just be in the mix," she explained. "I want to go out there and win every single time." The bronze medal meant she would start the 2025 season with something to prove. She had established herself as one of the world's best sprinters, but not yet as the world's best. The 2025 season began with a simple question. What could Melissa accomplish with a completely healthy year and the confidence that comes from belonging among the world's elite sprinters? At Tokyo's National Stadium, Melissa arrived not as a hopeful bronze medalist, but as the woman expected to win. Running in lane 6, she exploded from the blocks and never looked back. Her winning time of 10.61 made her the 4th fastest woman in history. 3 days later, she won the 200 meters in 21.68, completing the sprint double. Standing on the podium, Melissa thought back to the little girl from Dunbar who dreamed about running fast enough to matter. She still loved running. Now, as 2026 approaches, she's not chasing anyone. Every other sprinter is chasing her. On August 23rd in Silesia, Poland, Melissa will face Julian Alfred, their head-to-head record perfectly balanced. Melissa has an undefeated streak and the world record in her sights. No woman has broken 10.5 seconds. Florence Griffith Joyner's record of 10.49 has stood since 1988. When Melissa steps into the blocks next to Alfred, she'll carry the dreams of every small-town athlete told they aren't good enough. Those 11 seconds will represent everything she's learned about refusing to accept anything less than her best.